And we're live. Okay, my friends and gems. So exciting. It's magnificent, magical Monday. And we are here talking about what Tony Robbins discovered, the secret he discovered to helping his back pain. So let me share with you my information so that you can see what I am seeing and make sure that this is accessible to you guys so that here we go. Okay. All right. So Tony Robbins finds the secret to eliminating back pain. And for him, it was stem cells. This self-help guru and author, Tony Robbins, says breakthroughs in precision management can change your life. He talks about the emerging science and his new book, Life Force. He interviewed 150 of the top scientists for his research. So I'm going to share this with you so that you can listen along. All right, check it out.
Tony Robbins. He's a leading life and business strategist, best-selling author of some of the most popular self-help books. His latest book is called Life Force: How New Breakthroughs in Precision Medicine Can Transform the Quality of Your Life and Those You Love. It covers everything from sleep to aging to Alzheimer's. Tony Robbins joins us this morning from Palm Beach, Florida. Tony, nice to see you.
Nice to see you again, Rosanna. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm wondering what prompted you to write this book, Life Force?
My whole life has been about finding ways to help people increase the quality of their life. And I spent, after 2008, 10 years focusing on finance because so many people lost, everything they had during the 2008 time, and wrote 2 #1 bestsellers. And the way I did it was interviewing 50 of the smartest financial people in the world. Well, in this book, I interviewed 150 of the top scientists, Nobel laureates, medical doctors. Some of it's my opinion. But what really triggered me, I've always been involved in this, was I had an accident that they told me was going to end my career. I was chasing a 22-year-old down the side of a mountain, and he was doing things I didn't know how to do on a snowboard. And at the end of it, I thought I broke my neck. It was so bad. But they tore all my rotator cuffs severely. I was in like a 9-9 pain, not able to sleep. And I went to all these doctors, and it was surgery, surgery, surgery. And I said, well, what's the recovery? Well, you may not be able to lift your arm above your shoulder. It might take 4 to 6 months. And, I'm with groups of 15, 20,000 people at a time. I can't do it with one arm. And then one doctor pulled me aside and he said, listen, I think you're an incredible person, but I just got to shoot you straight. And he showed me my spine. I've had spinal stenosis for a long time, a lot of pain. And he said, your life as you know it is over. No more jumping, no more snowboarding, no more anything you're doing. You just can't do it. He said, you might not be able to walk with one good hit. And it was like a gut punch. And I was like, okay, I just can't give up on this. My whole life has been finding answers. So I went to Dr. Peter Diamandis, who's a good friend and partner of mine. He's a co-author now of the book. And he knows everybody in the industry. And I said, I've heard about stem cells. I know some I've heard bad things about, some great. I know the FDA has approved it for 80 diseases, 1 million people have had them, but where would be the best place to go? And he said, you got to meet Dr. Bob Harari, who's now my partner and also co-author in this book. He was one of the first people to discover stem cells. And so I sat down with him. He said, Tony, the ones you need for something this strong, if it's an elbow or knee, you could do it in the US. But he said, you need 4-day-old stem cells. I said, I don't want fetal tissue. He goes, no, it's cords. People throw away the cord and placenta during birth. And he said, it has the most powerful stem cells. He told me where to go. I did 3 days where I just did an IV and a shot. The first day, I was just relaxed. The second day, I woke up, and not only was my shoulder perfect, but I stood up with no pain in my spine for the first time in 14 years. And I got the MRI, my shoulder's perfect. So it's like I became obsessed. And I found it wasn't just stem cells. There is a regeneration revolution. Precision medicine is coming about right now with technology.
But why,
if you just look at certain things, you miss out on what's available.
I know, Tony, why aren't, like when you go to the doctors, like your regular doctors that you go to, why aren't they talking about this precision medicine? Like stem cells, for example, I was very curious about, because friends of mine are going to Costa Rica to get them. They say the stem cells here in the United States are not that good. I don't know anything about it.
Well, if you use your own stem cells and you're over the age of 35 or 40, they drop off the cliff. So those are called autologous. If you do allogenic, which is a big word, it just means from someone else, you can get those stem cells that are 4 days old, and they have the force of life. It's what makes a baby be able to grow so quickly. And so what I can tell you is there's so many breakthroughs. Like literally you can heal in days instead of weeks or months. Jack Nicklaus, who's one of the greatest golfers of all time, endorsed my book because I met him at the Vatican. I went to the Vatican. Believe it or not, the Pope every 2 years brings in all the best doctors in the world. That's how far stem cells have come.
Wow.
And while I was there, I was the cleanup speaker. Well, I attended every class, and I met Jack there. And Jack was supposed to have spinal fusion, which only works about 50% of the time, and it limits your ability to move. And he did stem cells instead. And now he's 82 years old. He couldn't stand for 10 minutes without pain. Now he plays golf and tennis at 82. I'm sure you've heard about CRISPR. We're now curing diseases through these gene therapies and through these gene editing techniques. Kids that couldn't see are seeing now for real. You've got individuals who had various sorts of diseases we couldn't cure. I'll give you another one here. It's amazing. There is you probably know the FDA has 3 phases. Phase 1 is safety, 2 is efficacy, 3rd is efficacy at scale. And then if you make it to it, you get approved. Well, there's a company right now that is going to be approved, it looks like, because they're in phase 3 by the end of this year, beginning next year. And if you have arthritis, osteoarthritis, they give you 1 shot. It stimulates your own stem cells to regrow all your tendons in 11 months. And it doesn't matter if you're 40 or 80, you get like 16-year-old tendons.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Wait, Tony, are there risks? Are there risks to this?
Well, there's risks to every kind of a treatment, but the FDA has approved stem cells for over 80 different diseases, and they're the most rigorous in the world. So there's some, but like my risk for the surgery was much greater than it was for the stem cells, and I got the results in a few days instead of 4 to 6 months of rehab and perhaps breaking it down again. But it goes more than that. There's a study, heart disease is the biggest challenge, right, besides cancer. And one of my partners called me and said, there's this great breakthrough that's happened in the last 6 months. It's called a CCTA scan. When docs do a CT scan, they're looking to see the plaque in your body and the calcium buildup. They can't tell the difference between hardened calcium, which means you're healthy, or soft that can break off and give you a heart attack or a stroke. This new technique uses AI, takes no more time. It opens up digitally all the arteries and shows you where you stand. I took my father-in-law, I was 80 years old. He was feeling like getting old, and people were telling him, arrange your affairs. I took him in there, and he did the test, and he was solid as a rock. He had no problems in his body. Everything had hardened, so he was healthy. Completely changed his perspective. There's a doctor at Harvard, Dr. David Sinclair, is probably one of the greatest longevity experts today. He's 53 chronologically, but through these 4 forms of supplements he uses, he's 33 in his biochemistry. Now, I've done what he taught for about the last 10 months since I met him. I'm 62 in a couple days. I'm 51 now in my biochemistry. So literally they're showing us how to start to turn back the clock. If someone has Parkinson's, here's another example. There's a brand new breakthrough. It's available in 100 hospitals, even covered now by insurance. They call it incisionless brain surgery. They use ultrasound, really intense ultrasound. They find the spot in the brain that creates those tremors. And I met this woman, you've probably seen people when they get audio implants and they cry because they can hear for the first time.
Right.
This woman couldn't walk across the room, 15 different drugs. 15 minutes later, she gets up, she walks across the room perfectly, she takes a glass of water, she starts crying her eyes out. She just did a 50-mile bike ride 2 years later.
Get out of town, Tony. First of all, I could spend hours with you. The book is, no, we got to continue the conversation, Tony, at another time. But this book is crazy good, Life Force. It just gives you alternatives to what you're hearing, in the mainstream. And we need to know this.
I just want people to know, like my last 3 books, I'm donating 100% of the profits. It's millions of dollars. We're feeding 20 million people, feeding America. And the balance is going for Alzheimer's, cancer, and heart disease research from the top people. So while you're changing your own life or you're helping somebody you love through this book, you'll also be changing lives that really need it during these tough times.
Tony Robbins, bless you. Always a pleasure talking to you. The book is out now.
Thanks for having me on.
Life Force. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Blessings to you. Take care, Roseanne.
And there you have it. Revealing the newest breakthroughs in health technology. All righty.
Tony Robbins. He's a leading life and business strategist, best-selling author of some of the most popular self-help books.
So there we go. There we have it. Let me see if I can get this now to become smaller so that I can show you the rest of this information. How do I?
Tony Robbins. He's a
This is called a technical difficulty. Okay. I'm having trouble getting out of this screen because I want to show you the rest of the information. So here, I'm going to probably have to close it here. Sorry, my friends and gems, give me a quick second. I'm having a little bit of a challenge here, just sharing this that I want to share here with you.
Tony Robbins, he's a
That's not what I want to show you, but let's see. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to have to stop right here. So that brings me to our next stage of information. So as you know, Tony Robbins alluded to a company that is on the breakthrough. This company actually went from 30 million to almost 400 million just in the last 4 years because of the introduction of the mother stem cell activation patch. That would be this patch, and then you have the daughter stem cell activation patch. These are photobiomodulation patches. These are phototherapy patches. These are, in essence, solar panels that you put on your body using wearable light technology. And so let's talk about this in greater detail and answer some of your questions. Let me share my information here with you. And we're going to get started here. And here we go. Photobiomodulation, cell activation patches. We'll give you a little bit of history about stem cells going back to not just 1973, but going back to the early 60s. We're going to talk today primarily about the Fantastic Five. Those are the cell activation patches that actually take care of the primary systems of the body. You can see my little DNA guy climbing up the DNA ladder. We're going to talk about the mother pluripotent cell activation patch because this patch actually has the ability to turn on a p63 peptide, which activates GHKCU, copper peptide. And in a moment, you'll find out why I even said that, why that should even be of any significance or importance to you. And our disclaimer is that the patches are not intended to treat, prevent, or cure any disease because we do not heal, cure, treat, or diagnose, nor do we offer protocols. The suggestions do not replace the diagnosis and treatment by a qualified licensed healthcare professional. We do strongly recommend you consult with your doctor. Concerning your specific health challenge and treatment needed, there are no medical claims that are being made with the suggestions here. These patches are general wellness products. And I also want to inform you that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has taken the position that all claims surrounding stem cells and healing, even those from natural products, will be regarded as drug claims. So the FDA also asserts that claiming that the use of light to elevate peptides, such as GHKCU, is inappropriate for a general wellness product. So as a result, we can't say that, although we have 90 clinical studies that actually show that. Okay, so let's talk about what happened in 1973. Let's talk about this, and then we're going to rewind to the early 1960s. In 1973, Dr. Lauren Picard discovered GHKCU copper peptide activated 1/3, that's 33% of previously dormant stem cells, turning genes to a younger, healthier state. That was groundbreaking. That was 50 years ago. Incredible that he would have discovered that. Should have won a Nobel Prize for that work. 1973. So now he has the discovery that if you use GHKCU copper peptide in the body, that it'll activate, it'll turn back on these stem cells that were there from conception that were previously, they're not damaged, they're not destroyed, they haven't disappeared, they weren't decimated, they simply went dormant as a natural age of aging. And now you can, boom, turn 33% of them back on. I want you to think about having a pitch black, dark house at night. Not a single electronic is on. Rare right now in an American household, but possible. And now you turn on 33% of the lights in your home. Will that make a difference in the lighting and in the energy that's in that home? Absolutely. Same thing is true with your body. When you, in addition to whatever stem cells you already have that are still remaining since conception. You add an additional 33, total game changer. Let's go back to the early 60s, 1960, 61, 62, 63. Well before I was born, we have Dr. Bruce Lipton, who was already doing stem cell research at the time. He was also teaching medical school in the 60s and the 70s and so forth. He went on in the 90s to write a book. Now, why am I telling you about Bruce Lipton? Because he was doing stem cell research in the 60s. Furthermore, he wrote a book that's a New York Times bestselling book and an author. Bruce, who also wrote an acknowledgement for my book, The Intuition Manifesto, The Gateway to Unlock Your Dreams. But he is a microbiologist, taught medical school, and he's known as the father of modern epigenetics because he learned that our cells are not in fact controlled by the nucleus, that they in fact are controlled by the membrane. That is the thick outer wall of the cell that houses and contains each cell. That, as it reacts with the environment, you can upregulate or downregulate genetic expression inside of the body. Total game changer. That started in the 60s. Absolutely incredible. So he wrote The Biology of Belief. Got to check it out if you haven't yet. Also, The Honeymoon Effect, Creating Heaven on Earth, which has to do with this. Has to do with stem cells, has to do with genetic expression. It's how you can change not only the inside and outside of your body, but also how it affects everything moving forward. Really quite fascinating, based on the periodic table of elements, written beautifully. I had him twice on my radio show and hope to have him on this YouTube channel so we can talk a little bit more about playing with these cell activation patches. So what does this mean to you? So why am I bringing this to your attention? Well, it just so happens that a scientist, Tony Robbins alluded to this scientist, one of the scientists that was basically contracted by the Department of Defense 23 years ago was a man by the name of David Schmidt. David Schmidt was hired to invent all sorts of different things for the Department of Defense and create all sorts of solutions and facilitate all sorts of different processes. And at the time, 23 years ago, the Department of Defense came to him and said, David, could you invent something that will enhance the energy of our Navy SEALs? Navy SEALs like Michael Jaco, personal business friend and acquaintance of mine. In fact, I spent time in Aruba with him, and there was about 150 others of us who are in the top 100 cell activation specialists in the North American globe. And we won an incentive trip for saving the most lives in the North American globe. Very exciting. Had a great time. That was in April. And so David was given the charge to create something that would boost the energy of the Navy SEALs, because at the time they reported to him, we're using amphetamines, uppers, and energy drinks, which work, but it's very hard on the body. When the effects wear out, they crash. Not a good thing. No bueno being a technical term. So David Schmidt did what he has always done since he was a child. He's been inventing things since he was 6 years old. Put on his thinking cap, but better yet, went into prayer and meditation, and in that deep, quiet theta gamma brainwave state, he received this divine download as he asked for guidance and for direction. And if there was a way to do this organically and holistically, how would that be? And boom, he had this packet of information that was downloaded to him by the divine. He immediately went to his laboratory and began testing, and what was born was energy enhancer. So while we are on here, I held off today. Instead of putting on my patches at 10:30 this morning, I wanted to do a demo of how I am putting on energy enhancer so that you can see me actually putting my energy enhancer on. It is a 2-patch system energy enhancer. We will do probably at our 7 o'clock tonight. I will actually review with you the research study on energy enhancer and show you those effects. Okay, so it's a 2-patch system. Most of our patches are just 1 patch like this. This is the X49. I happen to be wearing the daughter and the mother activation patch right now on the back of my neck, on my brainstem or governing vessel 14, which is a very powerful acupuncture point where your brainstem actually goes down and signals your autonomic nervous system through your spinal column, and then the information is disseminated out into the rest of the body. But I put an additional X49 here on my wrist because I have just still a little bit, I've had no pain since I put patches on my wrist, as many of you have seen on this broadcast. So I don't have any pain whatsoever. There's a lot of cellular repair that's taken place over the last couple of weeks, but I still have a little bit of that bump. So I need that cartilage to be repaired and to replaced, and basically for it to be restored. So back to the energy enhancer. Who wouldn't like more energy? Who wouldn't like to feel like you have great energy without caffeine, without energy drinks, without the jitters, without the crash that comes? More importantly, without the glucose spike that comes from having caffeinated beverages, energy drinks, and other exogenous just means outside of the body, things that are man-made that you're bringing into your body, which now your kidneys that are responsible for detoxing 15% of your waste through urine, and your liver, which is responsible for 85% of your detoxing, now they got to work harder to purge those things that don't ultimately benefit you, even though they do give you an increase in energy. Now you can do it organically and holistically for the cost of a cup of coffee a day. Not everybody can afford to do what Tony did, where he left the country and he did everything that you saw at the beginning of this broadcast. But most people can afford $5 a day. If you can afford 2 cups of coffee a day, $11 a day, you can get the fantastic 5, which we will talk about here on this broadcast. So let's talk about this energy enhancer pad. What does it do in addition to enhancing your energy? Well, there's a couple of things that it does. And like I said, we will be reviewing the research study on this, but it's a 2-patch system. So there is a tan colored patch. And then we have, I like to remove these backings by simply twisting them. You don't have to have a great deal of mobile, dexterity to do this. But here is the tan colored patch. In contrast, see how one is tanned and one is white? Okay. Tan, and this one is white. So I'm going to put this tan colored patch. It's a 2-patch system because it has a positive and a negative charge. It has a pull and push, push and pull energy dynamic that's pushing based on the polarity of your body, because we have electrons inside of our body. That creates an electrical charge. Those electrons are packets of light. Electrolytes are basically electrons that are in your bloodstream with packets of information, packets of nutrients, as well as oxygen that goes through your blood and it goes throughout your body to provide everything your body needs. So now I'm going to put this tan colored patch as opposed to the white, tan on left, white on right. Tan on left, white rhymes with right, white on right. So the tan patch, I'm going to put this just 3 fingers. Can you see that? Where your wrist bends, 1, 2, 3. That's a pericardium acupuncture point. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply that right on my wrist. You see that? It's almost the same color as me. Cafe au lait, because I'm olive complected, right? And here you go. On this wrist, I already have the X49 here, but I made sure to put it a little bit above. So again, 3 finger widths below. So I'm going to put it right below this patch. And I'm going to put it in the middle because I want it directly on that pericardium point. I put this one directly below where I have this little bump, which is what I'm in the midst of repairing and regenerating. So instead of putting it on the pericardium point, put it a little to the side, just in alignment with that little bump that's being repaired. That luckily I have no pain. I can pick up a 3-gallon jug of water is 27 pounds. That's like 30% of my body weight. And I could not pick up my purse. That was probably 5 or 6 or 7 pounds without having terrible pain that radiated sharp into my palm and radiated out when this first happened. Now I don't have that issue at all, right? So now I've got tan on left, white on right. What is this doing for me? Yes, it enhances my energy. It also increases my heart rate variability. And it also regulates my lymphatic system. As you know, your lymphatic system is very much tied and connected to your autoimmune system and, your white blood cells and so on and so forth. So let's talk about, let me go back to my presentation here and show you with these slides what's going on next. So we talked about the discovery in 1973. We also talked about the father of modern day epigenetics. He was the father. He's the one who invented epigenetics. He's the one who discovered, as he observed under the microscope, that the cell membrane, in fact, was not controlled by the nucleus as previously taught. And actually, when I was pre-med at USC in the mid to late 80s, guess what? We were taught that the cell membrane, that the brain was the nucleus, not the cell membrane, even though in the 60s, they had already discovered this. It takes a while for the mainstream and centralized medical circles for them to embrace that, and then to actually go into the point where it gets into textbooks, where it actually is taught in medical schools, holistic and naturopathic schools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So long story short, fast forward, and now let's look at what are stem cells. So please do not call these stem cell activation patches. We are no longer allowed to call them that because of that ruling that I just shared with you about the FDA. So let's talk about stem cells. What are they? So stem cells are simply pluripotent cells. These are pluripotent cell activation patches, or you could just call them cell activation patches. What is pluripotent? A lot of people have never heard of the word pluripotent. So let's break it down so it's easy for you to remember. Pluri comes from the word plural. Potent comes from the word potential. It simply means many potentials. So each and every stem cell that you have from conception in your body is a smart cell. It's an intelligent cell. It has 100% of all the intelligence, all the programming that you need to form you into an embryo in your mother's womb from conception until you take your last breath. So it can make a cardiac cell, as imaged here, an enterocyte cell, which is simply a cell in your digestive system, a fat cell, a red blood cell, an epithelial cell, which is just a skin or a tissue cell. It's not just the skin on the outside of your body, but the tissues that are inside and surrounding and making up every organ of the body, nerves, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing to know is that when you were first conceived, your mother's ovum united with your father's sperm, and boom, at conception, you now have complete information to the tune of 23,688 genes and stem cells that have all the programming that you'll need from birth to last breath, okay? And now this rapid cellular multiplication and generation to create you into a fetus in your mother's womb. You first start off as an embryo. 6 to 8 weeks later, we can evidence the heartbeat. The brain's not formed yet, but the heartbeat is. That's the first brain of the body, is the heart. That neural activity is already there and present. We can see and witness and hear it through an ultrasound or through a Doppler sonar scan on the womb. And now, guess what? You fast forward to 36 to 40 weeks, you're a newborn baby. Fast forward to 30 years of age, and 50% of your stem cells turn off. For no other reason, not because they're damaged, not because they're destroyed, not because they disappeared, but they turn off because they go dormant as a function of aging. Every mammal has a decline in the number of their stem cells as they age. Fast forward now to 60 years of age, another 30 years ahead to 60, and now 90% of those previously active stem cells have gone dormant. Again, they're not damaged, they haven't disappeared, they're not destroyed, they simply go dormant, okay? But until you put this little solar panel, this little light redirection mobile device is what this is. It's the moment it touches your skin, boom, it activates not stem cells that came as a donation from someplace outside of you. No, that's not what it does. It's redirecting your own infrared light, activating your GHKCU, your original GHKCU copper peptide inside your blood, inside your body, inside of your tissue, so that now 1/3 of those previously dormant cells, pluripotent cells, get activated. The light switches on, and the moment that happens, you have this rapid cellular repair. And that's why that is the secret to what gave Tony relief from his back pain. Now, 2 of my patient clients who were once blind, who now can see. and who I've had so many countless others who have had serious conditions. Again, we're not making any kind of medical claims. I'm just reporting to you some of the results that I've witnessed, that my people have experienced, and that people like you and families like yours can also begin to experience and benefit from. Does that make sense? All right, moving on. So let's talk about the human body. And if you look at your human body really is a temporary housing unit for the energy, the personality, the individual that your parents gave you your name, right? And if you want to look at the inside of the body, your pluripotent cells, which are stem cells, are like printer ink cartridges. And when you look at those cells and look at them being like printer ink cartridges, you're going to notice that in a printer, you have color and black ink cartridges. And when you have 100% of the ink, the copies that you make from the original are identical and are indistinguishable from the original. But when you've used up 50%, 60, 70, 80, 90% of the ink in that cartridge, now the copies are faded versions of the original. Does that make sense? Now, I want you to think about, how do the patches work? If I might suggest that you just take a moment and touch yourself. Notice that you are not ice cold. You are a hot body. Some of us a little hotter than others. Some of us run a little cooler. But basically, we're all about 98.6, 98.7 degrees Fahrenheit. If you were to take your temperature, you would see that that is measuring the amount of light heat, because light emits heat. And the type of heat that it emits is infrared heat. Our bodies on the inside are all infrared light. This spectrograph, in fact, actually shows that this is light inside of your body. Those are all the electrons and electrolytes that are radiating this light, radiating this infrared light, that if I were to wear night vision goggles and I were to look at you, I would see you glowing in the dark. And as you're aware, notice, realize, and recognize, the military and law enforcement uses those night vision goggles to see individuals at night so that they can catch them, right? And that is evidence of the infrared light that's not just contained inside your skin walls, but it actually glows outside of you to where you actually have little strings of electricity that actually shoot out your hands. And this is the battery. This is the energy that fuels your body. But this is what we are redirecting with this mechanical device to activate regeneration in your body with your own original playbook and blueprint of smart cells called pluripotent cells, okay? And so how does this technology work? So I want you to just play, pretend, make believe. For example, like right now, I've got a diamond ring on. If you were to look at a diamond crystal, it's much easier for you to see it here on my screen. You're going to notice that if I were to take a flashlight and I were to flash it on a diamond crystal, of course, the light source is the flashlight. It's going to bounce off of the diamond crystal and reflect back to your eyes, where now we are witnessing and seeing the reflection of that light back. All the different colors of the prism and the rainbow are in that crystal. That's how this technology works. We have crystals, this white part of this patch, that white dot that's on every single patch, that is an accumulation of crystals that are arranged in a very specific geometrical pattern, and they're also set to a very specific frequency. And the moment it contacts your skin, it's going to reflect back the infrared light, that 98.6, 98.7 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to bounce off of this crystal lattice and return back into the body up to 4 inches deep. And now it starts this activation of these peptides, which then creates, in case of the mother cell activation patch, it activates the GHKCU through our infrared light bouncing off of that crystal lattice. So let's talk a little bit more about that. And I want you to be aware that while phototherapy has been defined as the use of ultraviolet light for its healing effects, the light wave patches have been specifically developed to reflect light in the infrared and visible light bands back onto the skin where the patch has been placed. Supported by normal electrodermal skin conductance, the human body gives off a number of materials biochemically, including particulate release. All that means, particulate release, is tiny little particles that are released at a cellular level. Gas emission, ultraviolet, infrared, near-infrared, and visible spectrum light. This then stimulates the area of the skin, producing improved physiological effects. Like Tony mentioned, he got the relief of back pain and got increased energy. I'm sure if you notice, the sound and quality of his voice is much better. It's not as crackly, it's not as frayed, it's not as gravelly, because his vocal cords have been restored as well. So variations on phototherapy have been used for at least 100 years, and in that time, there's been very little evidence of negative side effects. This suggests that this is a relatively untapped option for healing with relatively few risks. Now, my friends and gems, we all know, we're all aware that doctors, surgeons specifically, but doctors in general have been using light in their practices for decades. You know, we've known of lasers. Lasers is a type of photobiomodulation where you have a specific type of laser where you can make an incision. At the same time that you're making an incision, you're also cauterizing the flesh so that there's very little, there's actually almost no bleeding, if any bleeding at all, because of that technology. You know, that's a type of photobiomodulation. And so now we are harnessing the body's own infrared light to redirect it back into the body to create this particular effect. You're turning yourself on. Think about that. Who doesn't want to get turned on? But this is a much better, more effective, more efficient way of getting turned on, because more of your original you is being activated from prior to your being born. So again, nothing is being introduced outside. Each one of these crystal lattices, for people who want to know what are they made up of, what kind of crystals are they? I'll tell you what kind of crystals are they. They're organic hydrogen crystals, organic hydrogen, oxygen, water crystals, organic salt crystals, organic sugar crystals, and a proprietary blend of organic amino acids. And they're arranged, as I said before, in a specific geometrical pattern set to a very specific frequency so that it creates this effect, okay? Very, very exciting. Those crystals are not absorbed into the body. They're mechanical structures that redirect the light, just like we saw the diamond where the flashlight was flashing on it. It's reflecting back to your eyes. In this case, it's reflecting back to up to 4 inches deep inside of your body. So notice, I want you to become aware and just realize, just understand me here. They're non-transdermal patches. Unlike transdermal patches, like a testosterone patch that puts testosterone into your body for men who have low T, or a nicotine patch, or any other kind of, like a Salonpas patch, which has things that are being absorbed into the body to give you pain relief. So these are non-transdermal. What does non-transdermal mean? Non means no. Transfer into the dermis is transdermal. So nothing is being absorbed into the body. The only thing is that this is a mechanical structure to redirect back your own infrared light into the body. You are the battery that fuels and energizes this. This is just a mechanical structure. This is non-invasive. Nothing invades the skin. It's organic, holistic, FDA compliant, class 1 medical device under the general wellness category. And we manufacture these products at FDA registered facilities within the United States, San Diego. And our facility in Ireland is registered with the Irish Medicine Board, which is the highest authority in the European Union. And we manufacture our products to the same standards as a medical device. In fact, our facility in Ireland is ISO 9001 and ISO 13485, which is a quality standard. If any of you want to hear our scientists speak specifically about that and a little bit more, let me know. We can always have you check this out on YouTube. Just make a comment in the comments below and we'll be sure to send that to you. We'll just post it there in the comments. Okay. So it's very important that you drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. So I am going to add, let's see if I can do this here in real time. Actually, I'll do this at another time, but I'm just going to say it really is necessary that you drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water when you're on the patches. As a general rule of thumb, you should be drinking. You don't have to do anything you don't want to, right? But if you really want to take the best care of your body and you don't want to have any symptoms of any problems, any skin irritations, inflammations. You don't want to have any symptoms of any type of nature whatsoever. Water is the building block of life. When we're born, we're about 82% water because we come out these juicy babies that were just swimming in that amniotic sac in our mother's womb. And so when you come out, you're kind of juicy, you're about 82% water. And in the last 25 years, the average 60-year-old used to be 65% water, but now the average 60-year-old is only 50% water. Kind of alarming that it went down 10%, but that there's environmental factors and there's things in our living environment. A lot of us don't have incandescent bulbs. I do, but most people don't have incandescent bulbs as their light source. Now everybody's switched over to LED lights. I will tell you what the big deal is about that in just a minute. But 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water, so important. Guess what happens if you're thinking, that's not that big a deal, or I don't really want to be going to the bathroom all day long, or I don't want to get up in the middle of the night. I got to tell you, if you're getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, part of the problem is not just dehydration, but you're also there's a pretty good chance that you also are experiencing glucose spikes and valleys. And that is what's signaling you to go to the bathroom. And if you were to get those things in balance, which these patches are systemic in nature, they are designed to bring all the different systems of the body into balance and to do cellular repair in whatever organ needs it. Wherever you have any damaged cells, it's going to replace the damaged cell with a new cell. Damaged tissue with the original tissue. Pretty fascinating. The thing to be aware of is that when you're 2% dehydrated, just a little lonely 2%, 1 to 2%, when you hit 2% dehydration, you feel thirsty. You'll feel thirst in your mouth. When you're 8% dehydrated, guess what? Your DNA, which is 92% water. Your DNA, the primary structure that holds up your DNA is water. So at 92% composition, when you're 8% dehydrated, look at what happens to this is properly hydrated DNA. This is DNA that's 8% dehydrated. It begins to unravel. It literally starts to fall apart. Telomere length starts to break off. The DNA starts to unravel. That is the beginning of all sorts of symptoms and problems and the breakdowns and systems of the body. Not a good thing at all. When you get to 10% dehydration, you lose your mind. And at 12% dehydration, you don't survive that. Everything shuts down. It's like everything is broken at 12%. Hard shutdown body, you just die. Your body burns up inside because of inflammation and because the other thing that happens that most people are not aware of is that, did you know that when you are dehydrated or unhydrated, that you in fact are, when you're dehydrated and unhydrated, you actually fold the proteins of your body. That's right. That's part of the problem of being dehydrated or unhydrated, that your proteins that are in your body, when you're dehydrated, they actually fold in. And so that is the problem with now you have a breakdown in systems, you start to manifest symptoms that are unpleasant. And if it goes unattended, if you continue to be dehydrated, then of course, things just get worse and worse and worse until you properly take care of the body. It's interesting because mammals, we're mammals. Mammals includes cats, dogs, horses, cows, right? And as humans, we tend to, instead of always going for water when we're thirsty, sometimes instead of going for water, we go for something sweet. Sometimes that craving for sugar, that craving for salt is really your body asking for water. Oftentimes people are unaware that a headache or a migraine is extreme dehydration in the body. Sometimes taking a pinch of Himalayan salt or Celtic salt, sea salt, not the one in the blue with the little girl and the umbrella. That's poison. That's horrible. You need real salt that has iodine in it that's going to activate your electrolytes and bring electrolytes into the body. Just taking a little pinch of Celtic salt, Himalayan salt, gray salt, fantastic, French gray salt, because it's really rich in minerals. You put that just on the tip of your tongue, let it dissolve, and then drink some water. It'll really help the electrolytes in your body. So sometimes you're getting up several times a night because of dehydration. And because of, it could be that you might be having some glucose spikes. A lot of people who aren't diabetic are suffering with glucose spikes, like the peaks and valleys. And I've talked about that on my Facebook Lives, as you're aware. Okay, so let's get back to, we talked about 2% dehydration, you feel it in your mouth. 8% dehydration, you in fact have your DNA, whose primary structure is water, starts to unravel. At 10%, you lose your mind. And at 12%, it's a hard body shutdown. And like I said, your protein's full. Let me ask you, how well would you be able to live your life if you were folded from the waist down, where your head is down at your knees, and you had to walk around all day, you could not get up? Could you take a shower? Could you go to the bathroom? Could you brush your teeth? Could you work? Could you drive a car? Could you do all the activities that you do now if you're folded in half? No, I sure as heck couldn't. And I'm sure you can't. And your proteins, when they're dehydrated, that's what happens. Because they're dehydrated, they fold in half and they are rendered ineffective. So just the simple, whether you choose to do the patches or not, really, the big takeaway should be drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. If you weigh 150 pounds, you're going to drink 75 ounces of water from the time you get up in the morning until you go to sleep at night. If you weigh 200 pounds, then it's going to be 100 ounces of water. Measure it. Have a pitcher with your water measured out so you make sure you have the proper number of ounces, or get a hydro flask, or I like to use 2 glass bottles. I fill them up every night before I go to sleep because I just finished my second bottle, the last bit, and then I go ahead and I refill those 2 bottles. One is by my nightstand, and I recommend that first thing. A lot of people always ask, well, how is it that you're always, your weight has always been steady your whole life? How is it that you keep your metabolism fast and moving? First thing is you drink water to break the fast of not being hydrated since the day before, and from not eating any food providing you a source of glucose. You drink that water, your body gets hydrated. Guess what it does to your DNA? Guess what it does to your metabolism? It activates your metabolism without the interference of any other food or things like that. Now, I'm sitting up in bed before I go to the bathroom. I drink the water until I'm satisfied. It's room temperature. You don't want it to be cold. You want it to be as close to your body temperature. So room temperature is sufficient. Now you go to the bathroom, brush your teeth, do your business, take a shower. 30 minutes have passed by, 45 maybe. Now you got to go to the bathroom again because whatever water you drank, your kidneys are like flushing that out because it's the first batch of water. You're going to notice that as you drink some more water now till you're satisfied, not till you're full. Always drink water till you're satisfied. You don't want to gulp it down until you're stuffed. You want to always do it till you're satisfied. The next batch of water, you're going to notice that you're not going to need to go to the bathroom 30 minutes to 45 later. You're going to notice that because you've hydrated the body, there's already a certain amount of water intracellularly throughout your tissue. So guess what? That's not going to purge out through your body as quickly. And then just continue to drink water every hour, every couple hours. You don't have to be religious about it, but throughout the day, as you see your water bottle, you're going to remember to drink your water in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening, so that by the time you go to sleep, that second bottle, whatever amount of water is left, then you finish it, refill your bottles, and move on to the next day. The other thing I want to say about water, because I should be called the water queen, but the importance about water is also when you drink your water, which is why I mentioned drinking it first thing in the morning. Also, you don't want to be drinking water right before you have a meal or during your meals, because that does affect your chemistry. It does affect your glucose levels. And you don't want to be having a meal, like drinking water and then having a meal, because now you've diluted the hydrochloric acid in your stomach, and that's going to affect your glucose levels and your digestive process. So you want to make sure that you eat your meal, and then 30 minutes after your meal, you can drink whatever water that you've had. Okay? All right, moving on. The patches are to be worn 12 hours a day, 12 hours on, then 12 hours off. You're going to be matching. We are diurnal. We're on a planet that's diurnal. That means we have a daytime and a nighttime. We have sunrise to sunset, and it's daylight. And then we have sunset to sunrise, and that's nighttime. And our bodies are Bluetoothed and in alignment with the rhythms of the earth. It affects the circadian rhythms, the cycles of not just our melatonin and our serotonin. Mel puts you to sleep, serotonin wakes you up. Melatonin is signaled by the light, first thing in the morning in your eye, and the serotonin is activated by the end of the day sunlight, which is a different spectrum of light in terms of hertz frequencies. And that then signals to turn on your serotonin so that it'll wake you up in the morning, 6 to 8 hours later. So because we are Bluetooth and we are supposed to be in rhythm with the earth and the cycles of the sun and the earth, you have to honor those cycles inside of your body. We're on a 24-hour cycle. And so you signal the body for 12 hours, turning on 33% of your previously dormant stem cells. That's a lot of light energy flashing through and regenerating, repairing, and restoring things inside of your body. And then after 12 hours, just as you have an alarm that says apply patches, 9 a.m. in the morning, you have one at night that says remove patches. And then you remove them. 12 hours later, you peel them off and you discard them. And now you're going to allow that matching 12 hours of rest, repair, and restore. Your body is doing this massive rest, repair, and restore. Okay. So let's talk about Dr. John Harmon. He had a right bundle branch blockage. I actually interviewed him. You can check him out here on my YouTube channel. You'll see an episode that I did about 8-10 months ago, actually closer to a year now. And he had come to us with a right bundle branch blockage. He is a brain specialist where he does QEEGs and specializes in certain types of brain conditions and so forth. Originally started off as a chiropractor, father of, I think, 8 or 10 kids, and he has like 28 grandchildren. And 2 years ago, he found himself in this quandary where he's like, oh, dear Lord, he was diagnosed with a right bundle branch blockage. And he went to not 1, not 2, but 3 different cardiologists. All 3 of them said, this is inoperable. There's nothing we can do. We have to put you on heart meds and monitor you. You're going to be on these for life. And the quality and condition of your lifespan isn't good because your lifespan is shortened because of this. That was not an option in his book. He said, surely there must be something out there that can fix me. Lo and behold, when you ask, there are scriptures that say, ask and you shall receive. Knock on the door and it will be open. Well, guess what? He asked and it was given. The patches came into his experience. And he began to not just use the patches, but learn and research the patches and use them with his patients. And when he started on the patches, this is what he looked like. He had gray hair. He had lots of fine lines and wrinkles, the texture of his skin. I could have played tic-tac-toe on his forehead because he had lines that went across horizontally, as well as you could see the 111, 1, 2, 3 right across vertically in between his brows. He had lost some hair, had gray hair, mostly gray on his eyebrows. You can tell the lines and the quality of his skin. And 14 months later, just 14 months, that's over 12 months. I recommend everybody be on the patches for at least 12 months because you give the 56 trillion cells in your body enough time to basically turn over the majority of those. Most of those damaged cells and not so doing so well cells will get turned over in that time. But for him, it was 14 months before he was then able to be wonderfully surprised and wonderfully pleased with the report backs from all 3 cardiologists who told him, never seen this in my practice before, didn't know that this was possible. Your right bundle branch blockage disappeared. All 3 of them said it disappeared. It no longer is present in your body. And in the meanwhile, over those 14 months, he had better energy. He was sleeping better. He had more strength, more stamina, more memory, more focus, more brain processing speed. A lot of things that you're going to learn about here, where I'm going to share with you what each one of the Fantastic 5 does. Okay. So, oh, by the way, it's good to be aware that when you're just 25 years of age, your fibroblasts begin to decline in their production of collagen. Collagen is, in fact, the building block protein of the body. It's what's needed to build tissue, skin, etc. inside of the body. That process of fibroblasts, which are important in the production of collagen, already at just barely 25 years of age, it's like you're getting used to having an adult body, and now it's starting to decline, which is why at the age of 30, you have 50% of your original pluripotent cells go dormant. Okay, moving on. So this is Barry, who I patched June 23rd of 2022. First person who had long haulers. He had headaches. Every day he would wake up with headaches, and he had nausea. He had horrible insomnia, low energy. He had fatigue and just no stamina. And for 18 months, he was suffering. And so we got him started on the patches. He's in Toronto, Canada. He received his patches on the 23rd in the afternoon. And that same day, I told him, instead of waiting into the morning, because these are supposed to be worn during the morning, they're primarily morning patches. We have a few patches you can wear at night, like the Alavita patch that activates your pineal gland, and it also helps organ function. Because of the activation of melatonin, you want to wear that only at night. You know, when you take off your morning patches, let's say at 9 p.m., then you apply your evening patches, right? So in his case, he hadn't slept in 18 months and he was feeling terrible 24/7. So I wanted him to get relief. I said, okay, let's put your patches on now. Tomorrow, after you've worn them for 12 hours, when you wake up, make sure you remove them, get back to me, report back if you notice any changes. And he did. So he says here, hey, Lillian, this is June 24th at 3:41 p.m. Hey, Lillian, just a note. Don't know if it's a placebo or if the cell activation patches work that quick or what, but I had really good sleep, a little better sleep than other nights. I fell asleep quicker. Today, I'm just on a high. This is somebody who had no stamina and extreme fatigue. Now he's like, I'm just on a high. I'm ecstatic. And Gwen sees that in me. I feel really good physically. What a contrast. When I awoke this morning, no headache, no nausea, he wasn't nauseous anymore. Yeah, it's just been a phenomenal day. So thank you, and I'll update you as we go along. Hope all is well. Thanks. Bye. That's just within 24 hours. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's going to feel something in the first 24 hours. Many do. Just yesterday, I patched somebody who had a lateral Achilles tendon tore. It was the second time he had that type of a tear, had surgery, and was still in quite a bit of pain. I put the patches on him. And while we were talking, he goes, wow. He goes, this is the first time I do anything this is the first time I haven't been in pain in 8 months since my surgery. And I'm like, this is a surfer dude who's very athletic, in really good shape. And he's like, finally, he's like, wow, he goes, these actually work. And he's already very proficient and very well studied as a scientist and mathematician in pluripotent cells and stem cells. So he's like, wow, these are pretty incredible. Where can I get them, right? It was really incredible. So now let's talk about Kathy, who had an incredible autoimmune disorder from 3 breast implants that she suffered with for 33 years, had all sorts of things that were plaguing and burdening her body. She was really hindered from being the best that she could be. And despite that, you know, she's still a world-class, award-winning skydiver, very athletic person. And so we told her when we started her on the patches, make sure you take a picture before and every 30 days after. And lo and behold, she did. And in October, a year ago, 2022, she shared these pictures with us on Facebook. And then I got on a Zoom call with her and I said, oh, I would love for you to come share your story. Please give me a profile picture. She said, no. She absolutely categorically says, no, I don't take profile pictures. That's why I don't have a profile picture on my Facebook, and I just don't do that. And I'm like, but why? You're gorgeous. Why wouldn't you? She's like, no, chest pictures, no problem, but definitely not my face. Well, I said, well, she did agree to come on the Zoom. We did the Zoom. And, you know, one of the things I told her, it's like, you know, I'm sharing your pictures that you shared with my friends on Facebook, and people who know me first, you know, first level 1-1, they're going to go, oh my gosh, it's one of Lillian's friends. That's like, you know, it's legit. But they're going to share it with people who are going to share it with people, friends of friends of friends, right? I go, if I were one of those friends of friends of friends, I'd say, oh, that was photoshopped. Couldn't possibly be accurate, right? And so that's why she said, okay, yeah, I'll definitely do the Zoom. She did the Zoom and she was so pleased with how, I guess, you know, she looked in the Zoom and so forth. I can't speak for her, but I know that after that Zoom was done, she said, you know what, I changed my mind. I'm going to give you a picture of myself. So she sent me this profile picture of herself. And I thought, wow, so awesome. I think we'll all agree she does not look like she is a 63-year-old. She was 62 when she started these patches. January, March, June, July, she went from having deep lines, fine fine lines and wrinkles, kind of deep grooves on her chest to none. No, here she still had a little bit of lines at the 6th month, 7th month, all gone. Not to mention all over her face. You can see here her neck. She has nothing that shows any semblance of aging. She looks like she's 35, 40 years old. Incredible. And she's 63. She'll be 60. Actually, she's going to be 64 pretty soon. So moving on here, I'm so happy. My friend Kathy is just doing phenomenal, but not to mention all of her autoimmune disorder. All those symptoms went away. This is my before and after. I had very dry, coarse, brittle hair. I had a traumatic brain injury, a C5, C6 neck injury, cord impingement, damage to the discs, miserable pain, back injury, L1, L5. I also had laceration on my right leg, excuse me, from my ankle to my knee, terrible laceration on the shin bone. When I started on the patches, the scar was elevated, it was purple, and it was, the bone was kind of wavy. And within 4 months, the bone filled in, the scar flattened, it went from purple to brown, from brown to tan. And I'd say in the next, and then it just kept on going to a lighter and lighter tan, and it kept on shrinking, like in this direction from, whereas like, there's like a little brown spot, like where the beginning of that, and laceration started, that cut. And then there's nothing, and then maybe a little tan spot, and then really there's only about not even 3 inches. It's like not continuous anymore. It's such a light tan, it's almost matching my skin color, where the majority of it has pretty much gone. I started on the patches June 22nd of 2022. I don't know if it'll be another month, another year, it doesn't matter, but I know that moving forward at some point it'll be 100%. That'll be awesome. That's the only thing I have left, really. Everything else has pretty much repaired itself in my body, and I'm doing much better. I had this laundry list of things that were wrong, a lot of neurological issues, including no short-term memory. That was like the biggest thing. That was one of the, other than the deeper sound or sleep, in the 3rd or 4th week, I noticed, whoa, my memory, my focus, my brain processing speed was like, it went off the charts, better than it ever has been before. For any of you who want to check out my testimonial just last week, the Wellness Superheroes YouTube channel interviewed me. You can hear my most recent. And if you want to look at maybe about 6 months ago, we did an episode where I shared what happened to me. So you can check that out. Okay. So let's talk about what this mother activation patch does. We're here at 3:17. I'm going to wrap it up. We're only going to have time today to go over the mother activation patch. I will show you the screenshots that you can take pictures of, or you can watch this. You can watch some of my previous broadcasts, but this pluripotent cell activation patch is going to reset a third of your genes to a younger, healthier state. Again, this is based on the work of Lauren Picard. Since 1973, there's over 2,000 research studies that you can find on the NIH, NLH, PubMed, over 2,000 research studies that duplicated those findings and activation of GHKCU, actually activating pluripotent cells. This patch is going to regenerate cells, replacing damaged cells, because that's the nature of pluripotent cells. It's going to restore collagen, reduce fine lines and wrinkles, increase your energy, sexual libido, antioxidants, anti-aging, and your anti-inflammatories. If you have pain, within 3 to 4 minutes, many people, a significant number of people experience 50 to 100% pain relief, like the gentleman that I patched yesterday, and improved hair growth, improved deeper sounder sleep. All right, moving on. Next thing is we use a Veritas Concilium, which is just a true plan of action. Veritas meaning true, Concilium, plan of action. It's just a recommendation or a regimen using traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture points to magnify the effects of these patches on the body. So you'll see here, governing vessel 14 is right at your neck bump. You just touch the back of your neck and follow it all the way down. You're going to notice that at the top of your spine, you have a neck bump. That's governing vessel 14, where your brainstem goes into your spinal column, signaling your autonomic nervous system, and then it sends information out to the rest of the body, right? So that's one of the places that we recommend to put the patches, or 3 finger widths below your belly button, which has to do with your conception vessel 6, anything regarding conception, reproduction, hormones, and digestion. okay? Our research studies used either of those two acupuncture points, but the patches they can be worn anywhere in the body. So if you have pain in a shoulder, point to the pain and patch it. Take all 5. Surround that area with those 5 patches. They could be in a circle, they could be triangulated, they could be all connected together, as I have here demonstrating these patches. You can put all 5 in a row. Okay, anyone starting on the patches, anyone that I start on the patches, and anyone from my team, I always tell them you can do a patch placement call with me. I'd be more than happy to do that. It takes 10 to 20 minutes depending on the person. Okay, the daughter activation patch, this one does something completely different, signaling a different peptide in the body. This increases your lean muscle mass. First of all, be aware that this is going to provide you radiation poisoning relief. Because these patches are non-transdermal, non-invasive, FDA registered, etc., you can wear them through surgery. You can wear them. It will not interfere with any other therapy by whatever means. If you're doing chemo, if you're doing radiation, if you're doing drug rehab, if you're in a drug rehab center, they are allowed. I've had people wear them there. Whatever over-the-counter prescription medications you're taking, any kind of hyperbaric oxygen therapy, whatever, it does not interfere with anything because it's literally turning more of you on. It's the moment you put a patch on, it's like you're 30, 35 years old because now you have almost 50%. Assuming that you are 60 and above, just because 10% is easier to add 33 to, which is the worst case scenario, right? So now you have 43% or more stem cells that have been activated that were previously dormant. So your body literally is behaving like a much younger body to replace, repair, and regenerate everything at a cellular level. It's going to increase with this patch, lean muscle mass, increase your bone density. It's just going to make you stronger, muscle mass and strength, increase energy, focus, your cardiovascular system and function, protects you against electromagnetic frequencies from 5G, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi radiation, reduces belly fat, and reduces osteoporosis. Of course, it's going to reduce osteoporosis if it's increasing bone density, right? Okay. The next 3 patches are the Y-Age system. I'm going to just get through this really quick, reminding you, please drink 50% your weight. You might want to, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. Don't drink water if you don't want to, but the body keeps score. You will have a consequence from not drinking water, which is going to be an unpleasant series of symptoms and the degeneration of certain systems, whatever the weakest system in your body is, or the weakest organ, that's going to be your problem point. Sometimes it's multiple organs, multiple organ systems. So we don't want that. If you want to be good to your body and you want to offset that, drink the water. Drink good water, not microwaved water, okay? The glutathione, carnosine, we talked about the mother, foundational patch, daughter. The daughter patch is like the foundational, like bearing wall of the house. And now the next 3 patches are going to be like the next 3 walls to complete building your house, which is like your body, right? Glutathione, carnosine, and eon. Boom, boom, boom. 3 more patches. These are master antioxidants. Glutathione detoxifies your body, boosts your immune system. When you put this patch on, let's say you started at 9 a.m. this morning, you removed it tonight at 9 p.m. at night, and now we're talking the next morning at 9 a.m., your glutathione levels will be 300 to 600% higher based on whatever your original playbook was in your original programming. If the comparison of where you are right now in glutathione levels in comparison to that is 555% higher, then it's going to bring it up to 555% higher in order to get you back to who and what your original blueprint says. So you're going to have a massive increase in immunity and immune boosting taking place and detoxification of the body and an increase in antivirals. Also, you're going to have this massive benefit of radioprotection against any DNA damage. Your skin is going to improve because glutathione is found in every organ of the body and every muscle of the body. Your brain signals your liver to produce glutathione, and then your liver sends it into your bloodstream to disseminate it out to every organ and every muscle of the body. This also helps promote relaxation and reducing stress. And glutathione is also important in the management of pain. Just this patch, the mother, will activate 30% increase in glutathione levels. And we know that from blood tests, and we also know it from the research studies. This patch will increase at 300 to 600% based on your original, whatever your original programming calls for, right? So this is also important to know that anyone with any kind of neurological condition typically has low, deficient, or non-existent glutathione levels. So the moment you introduce activating your own, again, you're not putting man-made glutathione, this is your own glutathione levels are naturally brought back up to the proper level, then those things disappear, like we saw with Dr. John. So anything related to anything neurological, anything having to do with brain function, pain, glutathione is tied to your nociceptive system, which is your system that's the system that's responsible for your ability to feel and sense pain. So sometimes we'll notice that we'll put glutathione next to the mother activation patch, and that further knocks out people who have real severe pain. It knocks it out altogether. Pain is, of course, subjective. Some people have high thresholds of pain, others don't. But the bottom line is that it works if you apply it. I could say a lot more about glutathione. You cannot take glutathione orally and have it benefit you, because the hydrochloric acid in your stomach destroys the peptide in glutathione. It destroys glutathione, period. And the research papers show that. So there's no benefit to taking oral supplementation of glutathione. The only effective means is either intravenously through a glutathione drip, which can run you, the lowest I've heard is about $150, but I know my friend Jody paid $450 twice a week. Actually, it wasn't Jody, it was Laura. She paid $450 twice a week to get glutathione. And the thing to note about the intravenous form, again, that's exogenous. It's glutathione that's not originally made in your body. It was made elsewhere, and now it's being put into your body. If you do 500 milligrams of glutathione intravenously, for 7 minutes after that's done, then you have for 7 minutes the benefit of the full 500 milligrams. And then every 7 minutes, it halves. So the 500 milligrams turn into 250, 125, et cetera, until you don't have any benefit at all. It still benefits people, but here in contrast, you're signaling your body for 12 hours to have an elevated glutathione level of 300 to 600%, and 24 hours, that initial signaling, it stays at 300 to 600%, for 24 hours. It's pretty powerful because you need detoxification 24/7, not just every other day, not every third day. I will caution people who have the MTHFR genetic expression or mutation to notice that your detoxing has to be a little bit slower than others. So for people who have that MTHFR, bear in mind that it's possible that you might have to, well, I would advise sway testing your body to determine what your body says it needs. And we can literally read your body. Your body will tell us if you are to wear it 12 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 8 hours a day, 6 hours a day, 4 hours a day, maybe even down to 2 hours a day. I don't know. We'll have to see what your body says. Everybody is different. They're the only exceptions to the rule, okay? I'm going to skip over this information about this research paper. You can watch the last broadcast. If you want to take a screenshot of it, you are more than welcome to do that. But just know that the bottom line here is that all organs achieve significant cellular physiologic functional status improvement compared to a baseline with a statistical power of 91%. That was the findings for all the subjects who wore the glutathione patch for 60 days. Just 60 days. Imagine the benefit that you get from wearing it for a year. Few times in life you get a legitimate do-over. Right now you get to get a do-over where you get to unring the bell of whatever damage you have, whatever toxification you've had. Doesn't matter if it's a trauma, through an accident, through a surgery, by whatever means, toxification of whatever elementals that might be around, you can replace all those damaged cells with brand new cells and restore your body to a younger, healthier state. Okay, the next patch is the carnosine patch. Carne's root word, carnosine's root word is carne, which in Latin means flesh. This master antioxidant is a big favorite because it supports and improves cardiovascular function, all things related to heart and muscle. It improves healthy brain function, memory, focus, and brain processing time. Your strength, your stamina, endurance. It detoxes the brain from aluminum. Think about how many beverages, juices, sodas, wine, beer, water that you've drunk out of an aluminum can. How many of us had apple pie, pecan pie that was baked in an aluminum tin? How many of us have baked a potato with aluminum around it, with, around turkey, around ham, around whatever kind of meat? How many of us have had take home where you brought it home in an aluminum container with an aluminum top? How many of us have had toothpaste that was in an aluminum tube? Everyone who's grown up in the United States, all the toothpastes and toothpaste makers originally had toothpaste in an aluminum tube until 2014, when the maker of Tom's toothpaste, an organic toothpaste maker, then had the clamoring of their consumers say, how could you put organic toothpaste in an aluminum tube? We've known that aluminum is a known neurotoxin. It causes cognitive decline. It causes things like Alzheimer's and dementia because it destroys a lot of things, and et cetera, et cetera. You can do your own research on that. And so in 2014, Tom's toothpaste switched over to a recyclable tube, and all the other toothpaste makers, thank goodness, followed suit. There's still some lotions and potions that are in aluminum tubes because they don't know any better. And now those things, because they're in contact with the aluminum, they're absorbed into the paste, into the lotion, into the food. And now you ingest it, whether it's orally or you absorb it through your skin or you inhale it if aluminum is in the work environment. If you work at a car plant, perhaps you work at a gun manufacturer or an aluminum awning maker, or anywhere where they have metals and aluminum. Now you're inhaling it, you're absorbing it through the skin, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to ring the bell of that damage. And because of this dynamic, this patch will also help with the wound restoration in and outside your body. Okay. Again, remember to drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. The last patch is the Eon patch, Master Anti-Inflammatory, Anti-Stress, Happy Patch. Yes, we have a patch that will actually anti-stress you out and genuinely have you feel happy. Why? Because this patch raises anti-neoplastins, and I'll tell you what anti-neoplastins are in a minute. And this increases the DHEA, fountain of youth hormone, not to be confused with DHA. DHA is something entirely different. So this is increasing DHEA, fountain of youth hormone. Did you know that blue light toxicity that you can get from LED lights? I don't have any LED lights here. I have, actually, I had 4 incandescent red infrared bulbs and one just is out right now, but I also have 2 clear incandescent bulbs, and I ordered them through Amazon because you can't buy them in stores here in California because they're outlawed. So I just buy my LED lights. I don't buy LED lights. I only buy incandescent bulbs, and I just get that through Amazon. But blue light toxicity that you get from LED lights, fluorescent lights, think about all the schools that have fluorescent lights and all the work environments and stores and hair salons and supermarkets, and it's pretty much all of them. They all have fluorescent lights. LED lights in planes, trains, automobiles. Yes, your car. When you get into your car, all of your electronics are all LED lights. That causes not just a destruction of, it causes insulin resistance, it causes inflammation in the body, and it destroys DHEA, the fountain of youth hormone. Guess what? We get to undo the damage of that by wearing these patches. This Eon patch will help you with that and will balance your left and your right brain hemisphere, which before you're on the patch, you're probably out of balance, and it's going to help bring your brain into balance. So you're going to get a calming effect, and it reduces cortisol and C-reactive protein, because your adrenals, if you're in a frustrating, in a high pressured, stress environment where it's like push, 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 get things done, fix, 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 run, 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 go, 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 go. If you work in an ER, if you work in, heck, if you work on Wall Street, if you work in the financial sector, heaven forbid, the end of each month is pretty stressful. Guess what? Your adrenals are going to give you that fight or flight response and produce cortisol, in response to that reaction, right? And so now you have high cortisol levels that turns into C-reactive proteins. If you're a firefighter, a policeman, et cetera, et cetera. Heck, a lot of moms, a lot of people had adrenal fatigue during the pandemic or continue to experience that. That's like one of the number one things right now going on is adrenal fatigue, in addition to, several other things. Again, we don't make any medical claims, but this will reduce your cortisol levels. Bring the cortisol levels into balance along with your C-reactive proteins while it's balancing your left and your right brain hemisphere, brings it into homeostasis, into balance, which feels so much better than not having that, okay? And so what are anti-neoplastons? They're simply, the research shows that they're peptides found in the urine of normal, healthy people, and the research shows that they might stimulate your immune system and that they might also kill certain cancer cells and prevent them from growing. They're in a clinical setting, they're used for various cancers, high cholesterol, brain swelling due to any kind of infection or swelling, things like encephalitis, meningitis, HIV, AIDS, Parkinson's, etc., and other conditions. In a clinical setting, it's administered through something called IVIG. Guess what? You don't need to do that. You can simply apply these patches and activate your own original anti-neoplastons. Okay, we talked already about the DHEA, so I'm going to jump this to what it costs. This costs about $5 a day. Like I said, you can get started for as little as $5 a day. Just this alone is $149. These two together, $149 each. That's $300, but you can bundle pack price them for just $179. If you want to do the Fantastic Five, that's basically the cost of 2 cups of coffee a day. That's basically $499. The first month, I will show you actually my Dr. Wholesale pack, the gold pack here. You can see you can get the Fantastic Five. Instead of the retail, if you go to the website, of course, you see the retail pricing, but you can get back to the person who referred you, and you can get started on a Dr. Wholesale pack where you save an additional $50 a sleeve. So it's only, they're basically $100 a sleeve. If you're willing to buy 3 months in advance, then you can bring that price down by almost another 40%. In fact, there's a Christmas special where instead of spending $2,917 for the first year, you can actually get 40% off, which is almost a $1,200 savings. And now you get a year's worth of mother activation patches, and you pay only $17.49 for a year of the mother activation patches. I should show you a graphic on that. Give me a quick second and I'll share that with you so that you can see. I should have thought of this before. Whoops. Okay, so let me share this with you. This is the special that's going on until the 21st. Can you see? You should be able to see here. That's a 40% savings. I wish that was going on when I got started, but the bottom line is I'm happy and grateful to myself be on this life-saving technology. If you or someone you know is interested in learning more or getting started, in the United States, you can get these within 2 to 5 days, depending if your zip code is in the is in the 2-day shipping code for USPS. It can be either USPS or FedEx to you. The system decides that based on your zip code because it's trying to get it to you as quickly as possible. And we are available in 81, soon to be 82 countries because we are right now in the process of launching in South Korea. So 81 countries, our website, you can see that you can pick whatever language on the top, and you can also pick whatever country that we're going to be shipping to you. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, get back to me, or more importantly, get back to the person who referred you to this broadcast so that they can answer any and all of your questions and get you started. Might you have any questions? I don't see your name on here, so I don't know what your name is, but if you have a question, go ahead and mute yourself and we'll take 2-3 more minutes to answer if you have a question. Okay, it appears that you don't have a question. So my friends and gems, ciao for now. We'll be on at 7 p.m. At 7 p.m., I will be doing an information question and answer session, and we'll start off with reviewing the Energy Enhancer patch research study so that you guys can see that research study and you can learn about the findings that are there. And that's basically it. It's a wrap. Ciao for now. As always, my friends and gems. And if you also, I'm going to just flash the last thing here in case someone needs to get in touch through our hotline. This is an unmonitored hotline. It's old fashioned. It's just me having to respond to the inquiries here. So it takes me about 24 hours to get to everybody right now. It's not on a system, but when you call, it does transcribe it to me in text format. So you can either call and leave a voice message, or you can text to that line and I'll be sure to respond back to you. And if you're wanting to get on a private confidential Zoom just between you and I, we can do that, especially if you're part of my team or looking to get started on the patches.